Today, we are in Class 2 of online lectures in biology research. Are going to look at doing a literature search. The literature search is one of the first steps that one does when working on a research experimental question. The literature review gives you a background knowledge as you are beginning to design and develop your hypotheses and experiments. It enables you to know if someone else has already asked your question, has already done the experiments. Science is built upon things that have been previously discovered. And so we are always building on the work of others. There are 3 levels of literature in science. Tertiary is the broadest, most general type of information. It is a source such as textbooks, Wikipedia, encyclopedias. It is a distillation of primary and secondary sources. It is descriptive. It seldom talks about experiments and the evidence for the concepts and ideas that are being presented. It is hard to judge, but it is the foundation of understanding. It also is the source from which you will develop keywords. Secondary literature is many times called the review article. In secondary literature, someone who studies in a specific area takes information from several different primary sources and evaluates them, analyzes them, and makes comment on the evidence. And so it is far more specific than tertiary literature. But it does not look at or present all of the evidence. It is the interpretation of a specialist of where the field is. I think secondary sources are the most difficult to understand, but one of their values is that many review articles will cite hundreds of articles. So it is a good source to find primary sources. In science, the most valuable literature is primary literature. It is the original material on which research is based. The people who did the research write this type of literature. They report on their discoveries. They share new information. They present experimental methods and design along with all the data, including control experiments. When you read a piece of primary literature, you can judge and draw your own conclusions by evaluating that literature. In your review of the literature, most of the articles that you use should be primary literature. One shouldn't immediately just jump into the primary literature on a new topic. You need a good, strong base understanding of your area, a general overview. You also need to, from that general knowledge, and most likely what is a general question that you developed, to narrow and focus into a more specific and defined question that is doable. Remember when we talked about developing questions? They must be doable. They must be narrow that only one or a few hypotheses will be needed to test them. And most importantly, you will develop keywords for subsequent use in searching primary literature. Indexes and abstracting companies read primary literature, and from them they take terms that they think relate to the topic in them. They use these terms to create databases to enable you to find articles. So keywords are going to be important for you. They, again, are your entry into primary literature. So in my first step, I go to Google and I ask, what is diabetes? I do a search and many articles come up. I also go to a good human physiology textbook and look up diabetes in the index and read articles there. So as I'm reading, here are some quotes, and notice that as I'm looking, I begin to find general things out about diabetes, metabolic disease, insulin, blood glucose levels, that insulin is a hormone made by the pancreas. Beta cells regulates. So notice these all are potential key words to help me to narrow articles that will be on the topic I'm interested in. Notice that as I read, I find that insulin is part of a larger system that have blood glucose level regulation, and that there's a other hormone, glucagon, that has the opposite effect. Notice that I'm putting my topic more into context. And even though I'm not going to study glucagon, I am beginning to get a more robust idea about diabetes and the role that insulin and maybe even glucagon might play. We are going to look at using the Web of Science, Science Citation Index, sometimes called the Web of Knowledge, because it's one of the most powerful indexes in scientific literature. It covers the largest number of journals and books, 50,000 books, 12,000 journals, 160,000 conference proceedings. Notice it does not cover all, but it is the most robust index. In its search engine, it has several different ways of finding information. We can do forward and reverse citation searches. We can refine our search. We can do it by parameters. So the Web of Science is a very robust. The way that we get to the Web of Knowledge using SCI is if we go to the internet, we go to the Wilmington College site. We go to academics. Notice the arrow pointing to it. When my arrow is on academics, I see several areas under main campus, one of which is academic resources. I move to it and click on academic resources. As I scroll down, I find Watson Library, and under Watson Library, it says Learn More. See the green arrow pointing to it? I click on it. When I go to the library page, I scroll to near the bottom, and near the bottom it says Online resources are always available via Opal Proxy login. See the purple arrow pointing at it. I click on it, and I go to the Watson College Library page. Notice the various breadcrumbs, and near the center bottom below the picture of the library, on the right-hand side, see Opal Proxy. See the green arrow pointing at it? Click on it. You then will be able to log on to the Opal library by off-campus access by typing in your last name, mine is Burks, and then your library card number, which is your 9-digit student ID number. For most of you, that would be 3 zeros followed by your 6-digit number, and then clicking on Login. When you do this, you get to a list of the various Opal indexes and abstracts. And if you scroll down to the S's, way down the list, you will find Science Citation Index Expanded, ISI, Web of Science. See, circled in red, arrowed, click on it. And this brings you into the Web of Science. This is a beginning search page, and we are going to see how to do a search. Notice under the blue basic search is where you will type in your first keyword. You should sign up for EndNote. It's near the top of the page. We will talk about this with your mentor. So now as we want to type in our first search, notice next to where we're going to type in something, we see a drop-down box, and right now it is on topic. Notice a downward arrow if you click on it. If in reading a Wikipedia article they mentioned a researcher, gave his name, you could do an author search. If it listed a title of an article, you can do the title of the article. We are going to choose topic. Notice that below this we have time span. And on time span, if you go, we can do all years. If we do downwards, notice we could do the last 5 years, year to date, last 4, last 2, or we can select a time period below that. In the beginning, we should likely use all years. Notice that at the end of the semester, you might want to go in and do a search using the last 2 or 4 weeks to see if any important papers came out after you have done your original search. When I type in diabetes and do the search on topic, notice below I see to the left-hand side results. Notice it's boxed in red. It found 1,563,687 sources that they had indexed using that keyword. As you look to the right, you start to see the list of each of those sources. Below the results on the left-hand side, notice that you see refine results. I can put in a second keyword here. I'm going to put in insulin. When I hit the search icon, what will happen is SCI will go through those 1,563,000 articles and use the keyword insulin to search through them. So it will not look at all of its resources, but only those resources that had diabetes. When I do this, the results give me 598,000 articles. Still way too far. Many resources than I could ever use. In my reading in Wikipedia, I found that the fruit fly Drosophila is used as a model system to study diabetes. And I am actually thinking of using the fruit fly since we can get fruit flies. They grow rapidly. We can get thousands easily for my research in studying diabetes. And so now what I'm going to do is I am going to, in Refine Results, type in fruit fly. When I hit the search icon, it is going to go into those 598,000 articles and see which ones also have Drosophila in them and was used as a indexing keyword. When I do this, I get 295 articles. This is nearer to a number that is usable and might be of value to me. Notice on the more right-hand side of the page, I see a listing of the articles, starting with the most recent. Notice 1, 2, 3. I can scroll down and it will give 30 on the first page. I can go to the next page. I can look at all 295 resources. In the purple box, if there's an article that I think I'm going to use, I can save it to EndNote and start to develop my bibliography. Notice Article 2, circled in red, is the title of the article. Sirtuin-1 stabilization by HUR represses TNF-alpha and glucose-induced E-selectin release and endothelial cell adhesiveness in vitro. Below that, it gives the authors, the journal it's published in, Clinical Science, the volume, the number of pages. Below that, in the red box, the kind of green circle with LS will tell us if we have it in the Ohio Link Electronic Library. If we do, you can get the complete article as a PDF to read. Notice to the right of that, we can view the abstract. All articles in the SCI have the abstract so that you can read the abstract to see if it's useful. Notice that to the right in the red, it says times cited. Times cited means that this article that was written in 2004 has been cited by someone who has done work after this. So maybe someone who was doing work in 2015 used this article in their introduction or in their conclusions or in the materials and methods and cited it. So let's click on the title of the article and see what information we get. Notice we now see the abstract. We can read the abstract and see if it is useful. When I read this, I didn't think it was useful. But let's see what other information we might get. So notice under 1 times cited, on the right, circled in red. If we click on that, we will see information on that article. Notice below it, it says 50 cited references. That is, in this article, they cited 50 different sources. So if you went to their bibliography, you would see citations for 50 sources. If you click on that, you will see those articles cited. Really important is below that, circled in blue, is related records. If you click on this, SCI will do a search and find articles that are on a related topic. Notice again, you will see full text options. And if you click on LS, it will tell you if you can get the article in its full length for your use for free. Notice if we go to the bottom of the page after I clicked the full text LS, it says I can get this article by Abesco. If you click on that link where the light is, the article will come up. You can save, read, and use it. So notice, citing articles, if I click on it, I see that one article, and it was written in 2014, shortly after that article. Cited sources, if I click on it, I see all of the 50 cited references. So citing articles and cited references, and again, I can go through those and see if any of the articles are useful. Related articles, which can be very valuable, can be done by clicking on that, and notice by looking at related articles, I find 6,128. So notice how robust Science Citation Index can be. Your homework assignment is to find and read one full-length paper in the primary literature on a topic that interests you. Right? That is one of the articles that you will use for your proposal and your research. Work with your mentor in finding these. Using this paper, locate 3 citing papers, right? Papers that cite this paper that you found, and then 3 papers that are cited by it. The assignment is due January 25th by 11:59 p.m., and it should be submitted on Blackboard. If you have any questions about the assignment, discuss them with your mentor.